All right, so I'm setting up this video to show some basic principles of prepping metal miniatures for painting. Mostly the principles will apply to plastic ones as well. Yeah, it's just some super basic stuff. Mostly we'll be cleaning off some mold lines. Hopefully you can see like along here. I know the light's a little weird, but maybe get some shadow. There we go. So you can see that there's a mold line along here. These miniatures are actually kind of clean, so that they're maybe not the best ones. Maybe should have gotten some crappy ones. These are actually the 15 millimeter Alien Foreign Legion miniatures from Coruscant Miniatures. Pretty rad. Anyway, right in here you can see there's a big bunch of flash left over between the mold lines, so we'll clean that out. It's actually a good example. Here, this is a piece for a multi-piece guy. This little bit here is just it's left over from the mold, so we'll have to cut that out. And they deliberately put that in so that when they cast it, you know, the metal can flow into all these little tiny pieces. Maybe talk about, here's another alien guy. And then like on the bottom of this, there's the bit where they actually, usually the molten liquid metal will come in down from here, and they'll kind of snip that off, but there's a little chunk there, and we'll cut that off. I don't think any of the others, you can sort of see, like on this guy, these little tiny filaments here. It's kind of on the end, so anytime you have like a bit of your model that like extends out like this, they need to have these tiny little holes in here for the air to escape, and then the molten metal will flow down in and follow that air out, and then you're left with these little bits of flash. So we're just going to clean that up. My main tools for something like this are, of course, my X-Acto knife. It does not have to be real sharp. I actually kind of prefer it that it's not. Also, I want to apologize for the wobbling of my camera. I have this extremely janky setup on some wire ribbon, kind of C-clamped to an ammo box, but anyway. So my main tools are sometimes some small wire snips. If you need to kind of bend stuff a little bit, because like the guys they won't stand upright. I mean, these guys won't anyway because they're so top heavy, but they'll, you know, the legs are pretty thin, so they'll get bent, and they'll like stand up kind of sideways. But yeah, mostly the X-Acto. Then I have these small jeweler's files. I have I don't know if you can quite tell the shape of this, but it's basically an oval. Here's I believe this would be called a flat bastard. And then, I don't know what it's called. It's called a round pointy. I have larger versions of them, also a square. I don't usually use these too much. I used to back in the day till I got these small ones. But these can be useful for larger projects like large tanks and stuff. Yeah, so we'll basically shove these off to the side and just sort of like show you what to do. So on this guy here, there's this this nice flat spot on his gun. It has some flash lines. You can either cut it off like this, just kind of carve it, or you can actually, so that's effective, or you can, what I like to do often is go backwards. You sort of scrape it with the back of your X-Acto blade, and then I'll actually just sort of like carve off those large bits and kind of smooth it out. Obviously a little combination. Maybe get that flat bastard in there. I don't know if it's actually called a flat bastard. I just know that like a large full-sized file is called a flat bastard, presumably from bastard sword. I don't actually know the etymology of that. Which is cool to say bastard. Yeah, so you just kind of file it off. Get it kind of smooth. The good thing about the 15 millimeter miniatures is that they don't have to be super... I mean, these are really nice miniatures, but they're not like super crazy detailed because they're so small. So you can kind of scrape them up. And honestly, the primer will sort of fill in these scratches. In terms of like nice, larger, quote-unquote museum quality miniatures, I don't know what they do to clean them up. Probably something similar. Maybe they're more careful. I don't know. So the mold line kind of comes up over the corner here and goes along here. So you just kind of give it a quick this. The thing is about this is that the metal is really soft. So it's really, honestly, you're almost more smashing it down. Like sometimes you're actually filing it off, but it's like this combination of filing off some of it and sort of smashing the rest down and smoothing it out because it's so soft. So that's that little mold line there. And the mold line comes up. I'll try and get a good shot out here again. I don't know if you can see. It kind of comes up along here. And this little flat file is good. Just kind of. And you notice you can use the flat or the edge. I mean, they're both flat, but the wide or the skinny, basically. The oval file is good for getting into little cracks because the mold line's still inside those little cracks. And you gotta sort of get in there and smash it down. So basically when I'm doing this, I just kind of followed up so you can see, hopefully, this little bit, it's literally flashing in the light. And that's just where the metal squeezed out between the two plates of the mold. So you can get this out of here. You can kind of carve that out. Just scrape it out of there. I'll probably use my... Oop, that's the wrong one. I have another round one, but the tip broke off. So it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like you can see the difference here. Yeah, this one sucks. So you need that tip. Get down inside of there, and just kind of route around. Kind of smooth those mold lines out. The mold line goes over his hand a little bit, and you kind of want to, you sort of want to go along with the knuckle lines. That's another thing about this. So the metal doesn't have grain, but the sculpts will have grain. So like the hair or whatever, you know, that was on this alien guy will have a grain to it. The indentations in his knuckles, like they're really subtle. So like you look at your hand and like this is like, there's kind of an indentation there. So like you want the file, even though it's like a million times bigger than this, but you want to kind of go this way just to sort of like maintain that. And you can clean it up when you're painting it. You can sort of give it that illusion, but you don't want to go across the knuckles because that'll just screw it up. It'll make it all weird and or flat. So you want to kind of go this way. Kind of make those knuckles there again. And the mold lines are weird because it goes inside. Again, I don't know if you can see this. It goes inside. There's like this. There's this hole. There's this vacant part, right? So it goes all the way through here. So there's going to be a mold line in there. Sometimes you can ignore it. Sometimes it's really glaring. It depends on the miniature. Depends on what you're using it for. Depends on how anal you are about it. I generally like to get most of it, because that's the way I am. However, on this one, well, yeah, shit. So I just saw, it's actually another bit of flash on his hand that looks like it used to connect to there, so we're going to cut that off. Nobody will probably ever notice that but me, but I will not be able to live with it there. So we cut it out, sort of smooth it down. And this, I'm not like whatever, I'm just smashing it down because I'll literally never see it other than right there. Some more flash there. Pop that out, and you can see it connecting to his wrist and the gun / missile launcher, whatever this thing is. There we go. Cut that nice thing out, and then there's a nice open bit where used to be this chunk of extra metal shit. So let's see, I don't know if you can see it in the video. I keep saying this because I can't actually, I'm the opposite. I'm like, my head is that way and the screen is that way, so I can't really see it. Sometimes especially on smaller minis, there's little bits inside of here and they're just like kind of lumpy. It's almost like the mold wasn't complete, which, I mean, I'm almost guaranteeing that was the case. And it's just like lumpy ore looking stuff. A lot of times you can sort of leave it. Sometimes you can clean it out. Anyway, let's get to this flash between his legs. It's pretty obvious here. So let's kind of go along contour, scrape that out. There we go. Just instantly looks tons better. Find that mold line. Smooth it out. And I'm being pretty brutal here. Like I said, a more detailed miniature, larger miniature. You want to be careful on those details to not just scrape them off. With these, I mean, these guys are like, they're small, not super detailed. They're sculpted wearing just sort of like, you know, army fatigues, like whatever. I can paint over that. It's not a big deal. It's just the big mold lines you want to get rid of, because when you go to dry brush and or ink on them, those mold lines will stand out like they were highlighted. I mean, they will be highlighted because they'll stand out. That's just how it works. Like when you put the paint on them, they, like, especially dry brushing, it will stick to the high parts of that mold line and it will literally highlight it. And it's like, oh, here's this super obvious mold line on a super obviously casted thing, as opposed to like the suspension of disbelief and the illusion that this is a tiny little army man on the table. Yeah. We're gonna say that's good on him. I'm actually gonna clean him up a little bit more, but oh, and then we're actually gonna say, so this on the bottom, you see this little lump here, and that's just gonna prevent him from standing up, and you literally just carve it off. He's not gonna stand anyway because he's so top heavy, but whatever, that's good. So this guy here, this is some leg bits for an alien. And the only ones that are actually supposed to be connected are here and here. This is sort of a weird knee joint thing. And I'll start by just getting up in there, clopping it off, getting down there with the flat part, clopping it off. That's good. Carve this bit. Hopefully you don't cut my finger off. Okay, I don't care about that too much because I'm going to put ground cover on it. And then again, you know, you'd go along obvious mold line, just get it quick. And since these are nice and smooth alien legs, whatever, insecty legs, like this is fine. This little bit, you don't want to get rid of that because that is a kind of pre-made pin, and it'll plug straight into like the side of the alien thing right there. And that's basically it. You know, these little things that I talked about on this guy, you need to take your X-Acto and just yoink, snip them off. You could use this, though that seems overkill and actually totally imprecise. So yeah, I mean, these are like slightly thicker than hair. You just kind of snip them off. They're no big deal. And that's your basic prepping minis. You just take your files and your X-Actos, you find the lines, smooth them down. That's it. Let me see some I've already prepped. So like this little guy, you know, it's not really showing up in the video. The light is so strong you can't see where it. You can see that there's some, when you prep metal miniatures, there's like right along his ridge here is where the mold line was, and it's just, you know, it's lighter because I've rubbed off the the metal oxidizes a little bit, and you rub it off, it gets shiny. There you go. That's prepping metal minis.